Alycats, any viewers. So today I'm doing part 1 of March 2015 favorites, and I've got a lot of favorites because I was laying up in my recliner for like 2 weeks and I had a lot of stuff to watch and read and all that good jazz. So let's get started with books, which there's a ton. I usually don't have this many, but I read a ton. So first off, I have Neuromancer by William Gibson. Now this is a pretty heavy read, but I really wanted to read a William Gibson novel, and everyone said Neuromancer was a good place to start. It's a classic sci-fi novel. I thought, why not? I read it and I love it. Yes, it's very obtuse and complex, but it had a Matrix feel to it for me, and I really enjoyed it. A lot of people, you know, they're wishy-washy on it, but you know, I enjoyed it, and I want to read the next 2 novels in it's a loose trilogy, I would say. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in reading more of his work now. It's very fantastic, way ahead of its time. So if you haven't read this and you're very into sci-fi, definitely check out Neuromancer by William Gibson. It's a really, really worthwhile read. And then next up, let's do Forgive Me, Leonard, Peacock by Matthew Quick. Matthew Quick wrote Silver Linings Playbook, which was adapted into one of my favorite movies of all time. Forgive Me, Leonard, Peacock is about this high schooler named Leonard Peacock, and he plans on killing his former best friend and himself one day at school. So he goes around to 4 different people he knows, not necessarily friends, and gives them gifts. And you know, I'm not going to tell you what happens in the story, but it's phenomenal. It's really well written, and it makes you keep turning the pages. The only gripe I have with this book is the ending is terrible. It just leaves you hanging. There's so many loose threads, and I don't know if there's going to be a sequel to this or if it's just going to be a standalone, but it bugs me. The ending bugs me. But other than that, this book was phenomenal. I loved it. It was just such a good read. I mean, it's a heavy topic, but it was such a good read, and it just made me keep wanting to turn the pages to find out what happened to Leonard Peacock and to his former best friend and all this other stuff. So I do recommend reading it. I'm just warning you, the ending is crap. It's not crap, okay? It's just terrible. It leaves you with a bunch of questions, and it's just... But it is a good book. I'll give it that much. The next 2, I'm so glad I've started to read this author. He's amazing! The first one is Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Now, this is the first Murakami book I read, and I love how simple it is. It's basically a love story between I can't talk today. Toru and Naoko, and Toru has been in love with Naoko for forever, and Naoko used to date Toru's best friend. But the best friend dies, they become close, and then you see how their relationship progresses through the years. And Toru, I hate to say it, but he's kind of a man slut. And Naoko, she's very socially isolated because she's still devastated over the death of her former boyfriend. But you see how their relationship develops, how it falls. You see all this different kind of stuff, and it's very emotional in a way. Yes, there's a lot of sex in this book, but the character is using it as a way, I think, in my opinion, he's using it as a way to kind of numb the pain of not being with Naoko and losing his friend. It's pretty heavy stuff for Murakami, and it's one of his most realistic novels that I've read. It's really good. I suggest this book if you're going to start reading Murakami. You want to read this book first. It's really simple to read, fast read. Like, it's that big. It's not big at all. It's really, really good. Really well written. And next up is another Murakami book. This one is a heavier book to read, but it's still simple, but complex at the same time. And it's A Wild Sheep Chase, and it's exactly like it sounds. It's about this character who has no name that we know of. He's just referred to as himself. And, you know, he's an ad exec, and he gets this ad from a friend of his called The Rat. And the ad's just a bunch of sheep in a field with a mountain in the background. And then he gets a call from this guy he calls, I believe, the Thin Man. And, you know, he gets into this conversation with the Thin Man. There's a sheep in the picture that has the star birthmark on it. So he has to go and find this sheep within a month's time, or the Thin Man says something bad will happen. So he has to go find this sheep. He takes his girlfriend with him, who has no name as well. And just random stuff happens. It's really interesting. It does have a lot of sheep in this book, I will tell you that. Sheep are mentioned a ton in this book, so if you hate sheep, I would probably skip this. But it's a very fascinating character study, and it's just very fantastical, and I enjoyed it. I'm reading the sequel to this right now, and it's really good so far. But I love this book. It's weird, it's strange, eccentric, but I love it. I love Murakami now. So thank you, Roger, for, you know, introducing me to Murakami, because now I'm totally in love with his writing. Are the movies I've enjoyed this first part of the month, and the first one is Whiplash. Now, I wish I had the Blu-ray, but all that was available was the DVD, because this thing has been selling like hotcakes. Every store I've been to has either been sold out or whatever, and I finally went to Walmart and managed to get a DVD copy. But man, it was hard to find. Anyway, this movie is about a student who I think he's a freshman at Schaefer Conservatory of Music, which is a very prestigious music conservatory, like a school for learning music. So he's a drummer, and one day this professor that is very well known at the conservatory comes in, named Fletcher, and he watches him play drums, and, you know, he tells him to come to his classroom. And he's excited because this professor is very well known for having just the best band. But then he gets into the classroom and notices how abusive and how monstrous this teacher is. And he breaks people down, and he's striving for perfection, but he doesn't care about if he's hurting people's feelings or whatever. He's trying to get the best out of his students, which a lot of music teachers want that, but he takes it over the top with wanting his students to be as perfect as possible. And J.K. Simmons was phenomenal in this. He deserved the Best Supporting Actor Oscar. He won. And this is a must-watch movie, even if you're not into music, which I'm going to say you're not going to enjoy this movie as much as someone who does enjoy music, because there's a lot of terminology in this. But it's a very good character study, and you have to see J.K. Simmons. I mean, you've probably seen him as the farmer's insurance guy, as the dad in Juno, you know, in other small parts in TV shows. Maybe you saw him in Oz, the cop show that he was on for a while. But J.K. Simmons is totally different in this, and he's phenomenal. Miles Teller is great as well. I mean, he learned to play the drums for this film, and it's just amazing. I've watched it twice already, and I'm definitely gonna watch it again, because it's just, you want to rewatch it as soon as it ends. It's just phenomenal. If you're into music at all, watch this, but this is a watch for everyone to see the darker side of the music industry. And now, next up, this one is phenomenal, okay? Nightcrawler. And I did a review for this, but if it didn't get posted or it got claimed or whatever, I'll go into the synopsis for this again. Nightcrawler is about Lou Bloom, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal. And Lou starts off as a seedy con man thief. But then he becomes intrigued by the world of being a Nightcrawler, who is someone who goes and films, you know, like fiery car crashes, murders, stuff like that, and then sells it to TV news stations for money. And he becomes absorbed in this world, and you see him become more and more of a monster, and you see him devolve and into this just despicable person, and you can't take your eyes off of it. It's like watching a car wreck. You want to take your eyes off the screen sometimes, but you can't, because you're so hypnotized by this performance and by what he's doing. He's not afraid to tamper with evidence, to, you know, convict someone else of a crime just to get the perfect shot. And this movie is really important to see, and for a directorial debut, Dan Gilroy, you're phenomenal. I can't wait to see what your second film is going to be. There better be a second film of some sort, because this was amazing. This is an amazing film. You have to watch this if you can handle it. Not for the faint of heart, I had to tell you. It's very graphic, but it's important, and it's amazing. And it shows you the seedier side of journalism, so highly recommend Nightcrawler. Now next up, I'm kind of including two movies into one. But I watched The Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Both are great, but my favorite is Return of the King, of course. And, you know, it goes to the Battle of Helm's Deep. You see, you know, the huge battle with Sauron and all this stuff. And you see all the characters again. It's amazing. You see how Smeagol takes kind of a starring role. And it's just, Lord of the Rings, amazing. I'm wearing the One Ring right now. Watch it. Watch it, my precious. It's good. If you haven't seen Lord of the Rings films, they're great. They're fantastic. And the last two films I've watched I don't actually own, but I would love to own them. The first one is The Book of Life. It's a really cute story. It's an animated film by DreamWorks, I believe. And it's about two men who are in love with the same woman, and it takes place in Mexico on the Day of the Dead. And you just learn the story of these two men, and one is clearly more in love with the woman than the other. And he actually dies for her. And that's not a spoiler because it's kind of part of the story when they tell it in trailers and stuff. But you see the world of the dead, and you see all these different cultural things that make up Mexico. And it's really cute because they have a lot of musical sequences in there, like songs from the 80s, 90s, and then current songs as well. It's just so cute and so well done. And it was nominated for Best Animated Picture Oscar. It didn't win, and I can see why it didn't win, but it's still a great movie to watch. And I mean, if you have kids, or you know, a niece or nephew or younger brother or sister, this is perfect to watch with them because there's no language, there's no gore, there's no sexual content. This is a good, wholesome family film that is adorable and hilarious, and I loved it. And it's so colorful, it's drenched in color. I mean, it's a beautiful film. So I highly recommend The Book of Life. And the last one, a lot of critics gave this movie just so much flack. And, you know, I can see why, but if you're a fan of Underworld, trust me, watch this. Dracula Untold. Badass movie. Luke Evans is awesome. Now, Luke Evans was Bard in The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, and The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. But he's so good as Dracula. He's so good looking as well. But Dracula Untold is basically the retelling of the story of Dracula. It's different, but it still follows some of the same guidelines. But, you know, he's very handsome. He's a prince, Prince Vlad, and he has the hidden past as being the Impaler. And he has a beautiful wife, a beautiful son, and, you know, you learn that he was kind of kidnapped as a child and raised by a sultan, and the sultan's son became like a brother to him. The sultan's son is played by Dominic Cooper, who is always a fantastic actor. And it's just a good film. It's got Charles Dance in it, whom I love. He plays Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones, and he plays the bad vampire in this film that turns Vlad into Dracula. And it's just really nice to see Charles Dance. He's in makeup too, and it's just like, that's Charles Dance? But it's such a good badass action film, and so many people gave it crap it didn't deserve. I might be biased because I really love vampire films, and this movie is full of action and gore, but I love this film. I don't see why I got so much crap. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but it's a good popcorn flick. It's a good action flick. It's not scary, but it's good. I mean, it even tugs at your heartstrings sometimes. So if you're into Underworld and movies of that caliber, watch Dracula Untold. It's amazing. I loved it. I would love to own it. It's just such a good movie. Ran over. And now moving on to TV since there's only one show. Bates Motel returned. I love Bates Motel. I have to admit, I don't like Psycho. The original Psycho film, I don't like it because it's not scary. But it's probably because I watched it like last year and it's so dated now that it's just funny kind of instead of scary. But Bates Motel I adore. Vera Farmiga and Freddie Highmore are terrific, as are Max Terrio, Olivia Cook, the rest of the gang. Season 3 starts off with Norman becoming homeschooled and becoming the manager of the Bates Motel, and you see Norma kind of freaking out because her mother, spoiler alert, passed away. And you see Dylan deal with having his father around and all this stuff, and it's really good. And I just saw the first episode, so it's not like I've seen the whole entire season. But the previous two seasons were amazing. I loved it. They're setting it up very nicely for Norman to become Norman Bates the Psycho. And there is a little Easter egg in the first episode of this to the film, so it's kind of really cool. So yeah, if you're a fan of Psycho, definitely watch Bates Motel. Even if you're not a fan of Psycho, watch Bates Motel if you like mystery. It's not really horror to me, but mystery, crime, spooky shows. It's really worth watching. The acting is superb. It's great. Amazing. Love Bates Motel. Moving on to the game I enjoyed this month, or these past few weeks, as I should say, is the only game I've been playing is The Order 1886. I finally beat it a couple days ago. I took way longer than most people because it was very hard for me to come in here and play on my console because it was just painful. But I finally beat it, and I actually really enjoyed this. I did a review for this, so go check the review out. But I really did enjoy this, and I do see where people would not like this game because it is very, very cutscene heavy, very QTE laden. But I'm a huge fan of David Cage games, and to me this is like a mashup of Uncharted, Gears of War, and like Heavy Rain. That's what this reminds me of, and I loved all of those games, so of course I loved this. And I thought the story was great, the voice acting was great. But if you're unsure about this, wait until the price drops or rent it from Redbox or something, or Gamefly, and try it out, and then buy it, maybe? But I really enjoyed it. I was gonna say I don't regret the purchase, but this was given to me as a gift by my friend Rich. So thank you, Rich, for this game. I adored it, and I'm sorry I didn't act more excited in that video, by the way. I feel so bad, but I didn't act excited that much. I was excited, but I was very heavily medicated when I filmed that, so I feel so bad. But I love that collector's edition. I've got the statue behind me. You can't see it. Crap. It's right here, though. I've got the Galahad statue, and then I love this cover. I love the game. I loved everything, Rich. Thank you so much. And that was an amazing Valentine's Day gift. I'm so sorry I wasn't excited. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I made you feel so bad. I'm sorry. I was so medicated, and I was really excited inside. Like, I was doing cartwheels and going, whee! Like the Geico pig, like I said in the contest video I did before. I was really excited, but when I watched the video, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't act excited at all. Probably because I was in pain and medicated, but I was excited, trust me. But I love this. Thank you, Rich. I'm so sorry that I didn't act as excited as I really was. That made me feel really bad, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I love The Order 1886. Now, the music I enjoy this month is in the playlist down below. I love it when y'all listen to it because I like to know if you like the songs I like and if you fall in love with a song I recommend, because I like to spread the love. So listen to the songs if you want. There's 10 of them because I'm OCD. And now moving on to YouTubers I enjoyed. But first, I gotta give a special shout out because on Patreon, if you donate at least $1 or more, you get a shout out in my monthly favorites videos. And Mr. Coconuts donated some to my Patreon. And Mr. Coconuts, if you haven't heard of him, he's an amazing guy. He sent me flowers after my surgery, and he sent me Star-Lord up here and Drax. You can't see them, but they're up here staring at me. They're beautiful. They're little Funko Pops. He knows I like Funko Pops. And he's just a really supportive, sweet guy. He's been so amazing. He's part of the Roar Squad as well. If you don't know what the Roar Squad is, what planet are you living on? That's like my best friend's Twitch group. You know, Mrs. Violence, Roar Squad. Alycats and Roar Squad are very tightly connected, if you didn't know. But yeah, he's part of that, and that's how we met. And I'm just so glad that you're my friend now. And thank you so much. You didn't have to donate at all, but thank you, Mr. Coconuts. Thank you. Special kiss for you. And now moving on to the YouTubers I enjoyed. I really love the Nerf Herders channel. He gets a lot of subscription boxes and unboxes them and then does reviews. He's very honest, very thorough, and that's what I enjoy, because even if, say, a bunch of people like one box, if he doesn't like it, he says it. And he says what he doesn't like about the boxes, and I like that brutal honesty. And he shows everything in the box. So if something comes damaged in the box, he shows it. And he doesn't sugarcoat it by saying, oh, it's okay, the mail just did it. No, he really talks about how damaged it is. So I appreciate that honesty. So if you're looking into getting a subscription box of some sort, but you're not sure about the contents, check out his channel. He's done pretty much every box imaginable. You can see him unbox one and see kind of what you get and what the price is. So yeah, check out the Nerf Herders channel if you're into subscription boxes. And the next one, I haven't been watching too many new channels. Give me recommendations, people. But it's Jason Bonilla. He's really sweet, and he does like subscription unboxings. He does vlogs, and he's such a nice guy. Like, he'll talk about, you know, helping other people and all that good stuff. And he's so kind and sweet and has a heart of gold. He's an awesome guy. Check him out. Give him love. Give both of them love. And that's it for this month's favorites. I think it was kind of lengthy, but I'm really in a talking mood, and I watched so much and read so much during recovery that is so much to cover. Like, there's more that's going to be in the second part that I didn't include in this part, so yeah. If you like this, please leave a like. Let me know down below what your favorites are so far. Favorites so your friends and family can see. Share me as long as you do it nicely. And remember to subscribe to become an Alycat and see more videos of different stuff because it's fun. And the haters gonna hate. That's expected of me now. I'm gonna go. Peace and kisses.